This is High Power 102.7 FM, the pride of the people.
Renika, I can see you there. A very beautiful morning out there, and welcome to another edition of In the Papers on your darling station IPOWER 102.7 FM. Yes, on the segment of the program, we'll bring to you major headlines from different newspapers within and outside Nigeria. And of course, we bring to you happenings around the globe as it's happening today. I am your host, Florence Ibahreman. We shall be going through stories from the Punch newspaper this morning. We have stories from the Nation's newspaper. We have stories from the Hope newspaper. We have stories from Daily Post newspapers. And we have stories from the Guardian newspaper this morning. So from politics to business to economy to security matters, we implore you to please stay glued to your radio because, of course, we're about to bring the newspaper to your doorstep. Yes, going through various headlines this morning, I have this one coming to me from the Hope newspaper, and it says, talking about Ondo APC World Congress, I get that you are distant self from crashes and warns against lawlessness. Still on the Hope newspaper this morning, we have this headline that says Ekiti First Lady seeks strong women participation in politics. Yes, still on the pages of the Hope newspaper this morning, we have Tinubu signs electoral bill 2026 into law. Still on the pages of the Hope newspaper this morning, we have Senate slams envelope budgeting and demands full funding for security agencies. Still on the Hope newspaper this morning, we have Nigeria reaffirms commitment to principled diplomacy at Envoy Summit. Away from the Hope newspaper this morning and now to the Punch newspaper, where we have why Turkey has special interest in Nigeria, says Envoy. Still on the Punch newspaper this morning, we have Jigawa Lagos Secretary lead as INEC reports 1.2 million new voters registrations. On the Punch newspaper this morning, we have a Canada update express entry for foreign professionals and had new category. Still on the Punch newspaper this morning, we have ICPC grills El-Rufai after EFCC release. And of course, and still on the Punch newspaper, we have a Lagos seals public toilet over sewage discharge and warns against pollution. Lastly, taking headlines, we have this one from Daily Post. It says Lagos bans Korope buses amid protests. We'll go on a very short break. When we come back, we'll start with the major headlines and stories for today. Glad to have you back. You're still on to us from In the Papers. The program is In the Papers on your darling station iPower 102.7 FM. And of course, the aim is to bring the newspaper down to your doorstep, bringing in mind major headlines to your doorstep. Yes, we have this one coming to you from the Hope newspaper this morning, and it says, Ayedatiwa distance self from clashes, warns against lawlessness. Now the details. The Ondo State government has distanced the state governor, Dr. Lucky Orimison Ayedatiwa, from the reported recent disturbance that erupted during a ward congress of the All Progressive Congress APC in some wards in the state. The chief press secretary, CPS, to the governor of Ondo State, Prince Ebenezer Adeniyo, in a statement on Wednesday, dismissed claims linking the governor to the fracas. Adeniyo described the governor as a leader of the party and father of all party members, noting that since assuming office, he has consistently practiced an inclusive leadership style that accommodates all fractions and interests within the APC. The CPS stated that the governor had, for the first time in the state's history, held quarterly stakeholders meeting with party leaders, a measure credited for fostering unity and strengthening members' sense of belonging. On the recent clash, Adeniyo said the governor had called on security agencies on Tuesday to restore order at the party's secretariat. He further revealed that the governor had also directed security authorities to investigate the incidents in Idori earlier on Wednesday and ensure that the perpetrators are brought to justice, urging all aspirants seeking party positions to exercise restraint and call their supporters to order. Adeniyo warned that the government would not tolerate any breakdown of law and order in any part of the state. For details of that story, see the Hope newspaper this morning with this headline, Ayedatiwa distance self from clashes and warns against lawlessness. Yes, still on the Hope newspaper this morning, we have Ekiti First Lady seeks strong women participation in politics. Now the details. The wife of the Ekiti State Governor, Dr. Olayemi Oyebanji, has called for deliberate and sustained engagement of women in politics, particularly those in tertiary institutions and at the grassroots, to entrench political participation as a culture rather than a seasonal ambition. She made the call in Ado-Ekiti during a strategic engagement with civil society organizations themed Collaboration for Enhancing Women Political Participation, where she outlined practical steps to boost women's participation across all tiers of the governance in the state. Dr. Oyebanje stressed that early political orientation and structured monitoring would help leadership for the young women and build their confidence to participate actively in governance. She said, and I quote, "To achieve meaningful inclusion, we must begin to groom our girls and young women early on our campuses, communities, and local councils so that participation in politics becomes a natural progression and not just an afterthought." The First Lady proposed a multi-pronged approach to advance women political inclusion, including increasing women representation at all levels of governance, establishing a women caucus in the Ekiti State House of Assembly, creating structured monitoring platforms for aspiring female leaders, and investing in political capacity building and leadership training skill. She said women in Ekiti possess the competence, resilience, and leadership capacity required to contribute meaningfully to governance, but often lack the institutional support and encouragement needed to step forward. She commended the Governor of Ekiti State, Mr. Abiodun Oyebanje, for what she described as a firm commitment to inclusive governance, citing the increased numbers of female appointments under his administration. She, however, urged stakeholders to complement the administration's efforts with deliberate policies and coordinated actions. For details of that story, see the Hope newspaper this morning with this headline: Ekiti First Lady seeks strong women participation in politics. Glad to have you back. You're still on to us from iPower 102.7 FM, and the program is In the Papers, your daily nugget for stories making major headlines in today's newspaper. Now, we still have this one coming to us from the Hope newspapers, and it says Tinubu signs Electoral Bill 2026 into law. Now, the details. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Wednesday signed the Electoral Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2026 into law, few days after the electoral umpire, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), released a timetable for the 2027 general elections. The signing of the bill into an act of parliament took place at the presidential villa, Abuja, around 5 p.m. on Wednesday, with National Assembly principal officials in attendance. The Electoral Act 2026 Amendment Bill was passed by the National Assembly on Tuesday. The lawmakers in the Senate and House of Representatives had approved electronic transmission of election results with manual collation retained as a backup. The new law is expected to introduce adjustments aimed at strengthening transparency, improved logistics, and address operational gaps observed in previous election cycles. The amendment of previous act had reignited debate over the electronic transmission of election results in real time. Recall that opposition parties and FIGO civil service group had long pushed for a real-time transmission of results for polling units to INEC central server, urging that it would curb manipulation and strengthening credibility. Last week, protesters had disrupted the National Assembly complex, demanding live transmission of election results. The cited failure during the 2023 elections, with INEC's results viewing portal RIEV collapse, triggering widespread allegation of rigging. Meanwhile, the ruling All Progressive Congress APC supports technology adoption. However, stakeholders urge the area Stakeholders argue that areas with poor telecommunication infrastructure requires a phase or hybrid approach, allowing manual collation where electronic system fails. For details of that story, see the Hope newspaper this morning with this headline: Tinubu signs electoral bill 2026 into law. Still on the Hope newspaper this morning, we have Senate slams envelope budgeting, demands full funding for security agencies. Now the details. The Senate has condemned the envelope budgeting system for security and intelligence agencies, urging that the National Assembly to ensure adequate funding for the sector in the 2026 budget. Speaking on Wednesday during the budget defense session of the Office of the National Secretary of the National Security Advisor, Senator Yahya Abdullahi, APC KB North Chairman of the Senate Committee on National Security and Intelligence, described the current allocation system as disheartening and not reflective of the actual needs of the intelligence community. The committee also criticized heads of the federal MDAs for habitual tardiness, singling out former senator and lawmaker now in executive position as frequent offenders. In contrast, Abdullahi commended the punctuality of leaders of the national security and agencies intelligence. Permanent Secretary and of Special Services, Office of the National Security Advisor, Mohammed Sanusi, outlined the key priorities of the intelligence community for 2026, including combating terrorism, banditry, and kidnapping through enhanced intelligence and community-based strategies. Sanusi noted that the envelope system had constrained operations in 2025, citing irregular releases of overhead costs, non-implementation of capital appropriations, and gap in foreign service personnel funding. He called for adequate allocation through the 2026 budget and supplementary provisions to ensure timely responses to national security challenges. For details of that story, see the Hub newspaper this morning with this headline: Senate slams envelope burden, demands full funding for security agencies. Away from the Hope newspaper this morning, and now to the Punch newspaper, where we have a Jigawa Lagos Sokoto leads as INEC reports 1.2 million new voters registrations. Now the details. The Independent National Electoral Commission has reported as such in voters registrations during the ongoing continuous voters registration exercise, with over 1.2 million Nigerians completing the process in the second phase after February 13, 2026. According to an official update released by INEC via its X and on Thursday today, a total of 1,228,648 eligible citizens have fully completed registration under the Phase 2, Week 6. This marks an increase from the 884,737 recorded at the end of week 5. The breakdown shows that 673,124 individuals began with online pre-registration, while 555,524 completed the process physically at designated centers. For details of the story, see the Punch newspaper this morning with this headline: Jigawa Lagos Sokoto lead as INEC reports 1.2 million new voter registrations. Yes, still on the Punch newspaper this morning, we have a Canada updates express entry for foreign professionals had new categories. Now the details. Canada has announced a comprehensive update to its express entry system for 2026, designed to attract highly skilled workers, field critical labor shortage, and support economic growth. According to a post obtained from Immigration, Refugee and Citizenship Canada's website, the announcement was made by Minister of Immigration, Refugee and Citizenship Lena Dibe on Thursday as part of the government's international talent attraction strategy. Dibe said the change is aimed to restore control and balance and rebuild confidence in our immigration system while ensuring that newcomers can contribute effectively from day one. The government has set a clear immigration target within a measured framework to align with labour market need, provincial priorities, and Canada's humanitarian objective. New 2026 priority category. Several new category has been introduced to reflect Canada's evolving economic and national security need. For details of that story, see the Punch newspaper this morning with this headline: Canada updates express entry for foreign professionals at new category. Yeah, still on the Punch newspaper this morning, we have ICPC grills El-Rufai after EFCC release. Now the details. The former governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, was on Wednesday released by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. He was, however, reportedly taken into custody by the operatives of the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission and Other Related Offences Commission. Sources at the EFCC confirmed that to the Punch on Wednesday night that the former governor had been released but was shortly taken into custody by the operatives of the ICPC. El-Rufai had arrived at the EFCC headquarters in Abuja around 10 a.m. on Monday for questioning and was held by the commission until Wednesday. Effort to obtain official confirmation from the ICPC failed as calls to the spokesperson John O'Day was not answered. El-Rufai's lawyer A.U. Mustafa San neither confirmed nor denied the claims when contacted. The number of his media aide, Muyiwa Adelaye, indicated it was unreachable when it was called. The DSS has been on standby for the arraignment of El-Rufai over alleged unlawful interception of a phone communication of the National Security Advisor and also the reopened investigation into the disappearance of Abubakar Idris, popularly known as Diata. On Monday, the federal government filed criminal charges against El-Rufai before the Federal High Court Abuja over alleged unlawful interception of a phone communication of the NSA Nuhu Ribado. The three charge marked FHC/ABJ/C CR/99/2020 were filed under the Crimes Prohibition Prevention Act Amendment 2024 and Nigerian Communication Act 2003. For details of that story, see the Punch newspaper with this headline: ICPC grills Elva after EFCC release. Still on the Punch newspaper this morning, we have Lagos seals public toilets over sewage discharge, warns against pollution. Now the details. Lagos State Wastewater Management Office has sealed a public toilet on Sewage Street, Ebute Metta, for allegedly discharging raw sewage into a public drain. Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, Tokubo Wahab, disclosed this in a post shared on X on Thursday, stating that the facility was sealed on Wednesday. According to him, the actions followed the deliberate pumping of raw sewage into a public drain, resulting into offensive odor and sewage flow within the community. He said the developments constituted a public nuisance, environmental pollution, and pose significant risk to human health. Wahab urged residents to adopt proper wastewater management and hygiene practices to support public health and promote environmental sustainability. While Punch Online earlier reported that the Lagos State government announced that the monthly sanitation exercise previously observed in the state may resume by March. Wahab disclosed this on Sunday after an inspection exercise in the Lagos Island area of the state. For details of the story, see the Punch newspaper this morning with this headline: Lagos seals public toilets over sewage discharge, warns against pollution. Away from the Punch newspaper and now to the Nation's newspaper, talking our church attack. It says DSS witness reveals how cell phone analysis implicated alleged attacker. Now the details. The Youth Party YP has called for testing of electronic transmission and electronic results of cycle poll. In a statement, the party said Nigerians still struggle with uneven internet penetration and electricity supply. The Youth Party recommended that every off-cycle election between now and the 2027 general elections should be used as structured pilot phase for electronic transmission system. This, it said, would enable the electoral body to stress test technology under real conditions, assess performance in both urban and rural areas, train ad hoc personnel, refine logistics, and strengthening incident response mechanism. By learning from smaller elections, the party urged authorities would reduce operational risk ahead of the 2027 and ensure that the process becomes routine rather than just experimental. The party stressed that the need for reform sequencing in the national election matters. It maintained that strong democracies typically followed a logical progression, including research, policy design, stakeholders consultation, pilot implementation, and legislation. Electronic transmission, the Youth Party added, affect political parties, civil society organizations, security agencies, telecommunication providers, technology partners, and voters. The party said citizens must be confident in their vote in their vote count and be declared, and that declared results reflect electoral realities. For details of that story, see the Nation's newspaper with this headline: DSS witness review how cell phone analysis implicated alleged attackers. Yes, you can join us on our social media pages on Facebook, iPower1027, iPower1027, of course on Instagram, iPower1027, on TikTok, iPower1027, and of course on X, iPower1027FM. And of course, you can reach us for your contributions on the stories read so far on 0816 552 4699 0816 552 4699. You can also join me on my personal TikTok handle, Gist with Floxy. You can catch me live on TikTok on Gist with Floxy. Yes, still on Daily Post newspaper this morning, where we have Lagos bans Korope buses amid protest. Now the details. The Lagos state government has faulted the blockage of traffic along the CMS Lekki-Epe Expressway by some mini bus operators, popularly known as Korope, describing the action as a breach of earlier agreement reached with transport unions. In a statement issued by the Lagos State Ministry of Transportation, the government said the disruption occurred on Tuesday, February 17, and Wednesday, February 18, 2026, despite extensive consultation with key stakeholders. According to the statement, the government has engaged the two major transport unions, the National Road Transport Works NURTW, and the Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria, before rolling out the reforms for Lekki-Epe corridors. Speaking on behalf of the government, the Special Advisor on Transportation, Honorable Shola Giwa, said the actions of the protesting operators undermine the Bus Reform Initiative, a program designed to improve transportation services along the bus axis. The Bus Reforms Initiative, which was first discussed in 2024, is aimed at restructuring public transportation on major routes. The plan includes deploying high-capacity buses, relocating Korope and minibuses to inner roads, including e-ticketing, regulating bus operations, and strengthening security along the corridors. At the stakeholders meeting held in June 27, 2024, a formal agreement was endorsed by Giwa, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Transportation, and the state leaders of the NURTW and the RTEAN. The meeting outlined the framework for the reform and stressed the importance of cooperation among all parties. All buses participating in the scheme are painted in a standard Lagos State blue and white color scheme. They are fitted with QR code embedded in the PTC as stickers for verification, unique identification numbers, and a touch and pay sticker. Drivers are also required to display official Ministry of Transportation badges to promote accountability and boost commuters' confidence. For details of that story, see the Daily Post newspaper with this headline: Lagos bans Korope buses amid protest. Yes, glad to have you back. You're still on to us from In the Papers, and of course, you are still on to us from I102.7 FM, and the program is In the Papers, your daily nuggets for stories making major headlines in today's newspaper. We'll now launch the second segment where we bring in an in-house analyst to do justice to the discussion we've had so far. Glad to have you back. You're still on to us from iPower 102.7 FM, and of course the program is In the Papers. Now we are now in the second segment where we bring in an in-house analyst and we do justice to the headlines and stories read so far. Good morning, Akin Adebayo.
Good morning, and thanks for having me on the program today.
It's a pleasure also, and thank you for always honoring the invites to come on the program.
The pleasure is mine.
Yes, we'll look into different stories this morning, but first I would like to start with the Hope newspaper talking about Tinubu signing electoral bill 2026 into law. You know, there has been so much debate surrounding the bill they're signing, and now he has finally signed it. So what do you have to say about this new improvement and this new update?
Thank you very, very much. Number one, election seems to be one of the most complex in Nigeria, and secondly, one of the few things that we give much attention to.
Okay.
Electioneering is process, and election itself as overriding governance itself. When governance should be the principal thing. Unfortunately, election and its process has become the principal thing. Now, this issue of Electoral Act, the back and forth that has been involved in it, we've been on it now for months, if I'm not mistaken. And here we are again, still battling the same thing. Still talking about it. I mean, this thing is just somehow embarrassing. And the singular reason why it appears it has been an issue of national discourse is simply because most of the time our leaders, they don't think of governance. All they think about is election. Now, we are still in, if I'm not taking this issue of election has started maybe last year or thereabout. If not for, the Trump categorizing Nigeria as a country of particular concern, we would have still been deliberating all this while. It got to a stage that I was beginning to wonder, sort of sworn in. Not barely a year, we started thinking about 227. What about the governance itself, which is the principal thing, which is, as a matter of fact, the major thing that affects the citizens. But unfortunately, our Nigerian politicians, all they bring to our front most of the time is about election, election, and election. No problem. Now, as it has been passed, after the various back and forth, I think everything, because I don't want to start deliberating it again. Everything can now, go to rest. Because we're going back and forth, and I was telling you, having the issue of transfer of results at real time. And I ask the question, do we really understand what it means for the result of the transfer at real time? We simply mean that it's only when we are casting our vote electronically. That is when we can be able to result at real time. After that, now there was a protest. Then I went back to the National Assembly again, and now again. They now said, okay, now they now approved. They now said the issue of maybe transfer result and manual computation. For crying out loud, even in the Senate mind that we used to call it, that democracy has been enshrined for so many years, America, a time always comes in the electoral process that they require to resort to manual calculation, or should I computation, or should I say of the election itself. So what are we not solving ourselves for? Like that has been said, the issue of e-time transmission is there, has been passed, and of course manual transmission and calculation itself is for exigency in case there are issues, and there is no way technology can disappoint us at any time.
I think that is what is in place now for those areas that don't have good telecommunication, poor telecommunication structures.
Well, you see, the is this atom, what are they called? The MTN, Go, Airtel, and T20. Okay. They have come to say that in the only place that they may not have coverage is not up to 20%. What are we talking about? In the examination process, if you have 70, 80, it's a pass now, you can't have 100%.
So which
there's
means
no
that
perfect system anywhere.
Which means that if this if it is really enacted the way it should be, we should not have issues coming 2027 election.
We shouldn't have any issues. You shouldn't have any issues. And if at all we're going to have issues, let me tell you, most of the issues will come from the northern part of Nigeria. And why is it so? Because of the insurgency. Who caused it? How did you go about it? So these are the things that we need. But thank God, the president has assented to it. Like someone said that everybody ought to go and watch off transformer, but that's not the issue. But he has assented to it, and as it is now, it has become a law. So either you like it or not, what the president assented to 5 p.m. yesterday evening is what we are going to use in conducting 2027 election. Everybody can now go to rest. Either maybe the pundit says it is not okay for the Nigerian system, is immaterial. It has become a law. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that beautiful insight. I want to go. Let's go back to the state stories now. We have the past 2 or 3 days we haven't having issues regarding the Ondo APC World Congress. Now, Aiyedatiwa has come out through his media aid to say that he's not part of it, and he has come to stand self from the clashes and also warns against lawlessness. What do you have to say about all of this happening as regards the APC World Congress issues?
Well, like I said yesterday in a sister program, now them. Look, these are politicians. They know how they deal with themselves. Aiyedatiwa knows Adetime knows Aiyedatiwa. All these political somersault and what have you is as a result of having the party structure. Aiyedatiwa, we all knew what he passed through before he became the governor during the Aketi issue. When the Aketi was dead, but when he was on the sick bed, we all knew what he passed through. And we all understood the politicking and politricking that took place then. So if Aiyedatiwa is not saying that he doesn't know about it, well, that is his own opinion and he's entitled to it. You understand? But we all know that these people, they're politicians. Both Aiyedatiwa, but Adetime and what have you, it is them. But of course, we all know that all that is happening now is geared towards 2028 governorship election. The incumbent governor is saying he wants to become, though he has not said it, but of course, someone has just instituted a legal action that can he contest, he cannot contest, all this political what have you. Do you understand? You see, it's just unfortunate that we find ourselves, what we are most concerned about, like I said the other time, it's all about electioneering. I'm not talking about governance. If by now this is happening, what are we talking about? Realized governance. When other states are developing, now we have national issue, now we have state issue. If I'm not mistaken, Ondo State is one of the backward states in southwestern Nigeria. So I think it's high time we I mean, the governor and his cabinet come together and think. Look, by the time he begins to do things that will even impress the citizens, I can assure you, we might even start clamoring for him to come back. But in the case where everybody is complaining, just recently 2 of his aides resigned. So I don't understand what is going on there. But like I said, all that is happening, all that we are experiencing now, is part of just making sure that we hold on to the party structure. BTO is there in his own. That all the people that are beating Atikashi was, if there was, he said something yesterday there about Saka Ogunleye called it his own, and stuff like that. Everything called it his own. And what we did then was that when those thoughts came to to attack and the party stalwart at the secretariat, they said it was governor that sent the governor of the party and stuff like that. But if they are coming out to deny it, no problem. He said it doesn't know about it, then let us take it the way it is. But I know that now them it is their issue, their politician. How they choose to deal with themselves is best known to them. At the end of the day, the loser will lose and the winner will win. So it's none of our business. Let them just continue with problem. So far it doesn't affect. And anybody that dies in their hola balu, well, I will down cup of tea.
Thank you very much for that contribution. And I want us to quickly take a look at this El-Rufai's issue has been on ground since Monday. Now we have this update that says ICPC grills El-Rufai after EFCC release. What do you think is happening? And do you think it's the pick up after EFCC release them is like the next line of action?
You see, the issue of El-Rufai thing, at times I begin to imagine our security, agencies, the way they give us some certain things. This was a man that was alleged of, tapping the NSA phone. You should understand. On his own, is a grievous offense. But unfortunately, now we've not yet seen that. They're not tackling the issue of 420 something billion naira. How do we? You shall not destruction on his own. Do you know what it's for? You can't try such in America and the United Kingdom. You dare not. He went on here, national TV, and said he tapped the NSA. He just using that he tapped the president's phone. It's the same like that. But now, unfortunately, they are now bringing the issue of maybe 420 something billion. Is that what really? That case has been on ground. But there is a more, should I say, more, how do I put it? More pressing case in the issue of him to tap the NSA phone compared to the 420 something billion case. But yes, he dropped him. ICPC now picking him again. So what? Okay, are we now saying that they forgot, they've just forgotten or getting the issue of him saying that he tapped into the NSA phone? And we know that this is a guy that has been alleged of sponsoring terrorism, of one of the terrorist sympathizers. He was a guy that he was able to scale the Senate screening because of the allegation of against him about the insurgency that took place in Kaduna. And from front, right, back, and center, this allegation has been done, and I don't get it. But here we have the not getting the issue of NSA that have brought about insecurity in this country, now taking on the issue of 100 something billion naira. Is that what we're talking about? So to me, it's more of a discussion that EFCC dropping and EFCC not picking. What is the work of the NSA phone tapping that actually confessed to on the national TV? So that I think that should be the principal thing, and not the issue of 120 something billion naira. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that insight. The program is still in the papers, your daily nugget for stories making major headlines in today's newspaper. Yes, the last story we'll be talking analysis is about the Ekiti First Lady seeking stronger women participation in politics. She has come out to say that it should not just be a thing of just afterthought, but a thing of something that you are being groomed into loving. So what do you have to say about the Ekiti First Lady, Dr. Olayemi Oyebanji, talking about women's stronger participation when it comes to politics in Nigeria?
Thank you very, very much. I think apart from Lagos, that has actually allowed women, or I wouldn't say allowed, that has actually encouraged women to be involved, to participate in politics fully. I think Ekiti is the next, if I'm not mistaken. I think Ekiti has produced about 2 deputy governors female. Ekiti has produced senators that are female. How many deputy governors are you producing on those states? Osun, or Oyo, or Ogun State. Okay, I think they are trying to produce somebody, if the deputy governor in Ogun State. Do you understand? I've forgotten her name, but I remember vividly. But Ekiti, give it to Ekiti. Ekiti has really been trying when it comes to female integration into their politics. And I think for the of the governor to have come up again with that idea and encouraging them to do more is a welcome development. Our women, they have what it takes to call it a partaker, or should I say people that will be governing, they are dictating and running the affairs of state, both at state and national level. So I think it's a welcome development and to really encourage regard that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and I must say it's a pleasure having you once again on the program this morning.
The pleasure.
I hope that when we call you again, you're going to come on board and of course give us your analysis as regards the story.
Sure.
Thank you very much, King Adebayo, for coming.
Thanks for having me on today.
Yes, so glad to have you back. You're still on to us from iPower 102.7 FM, and the program is In the Papers. Yes, many thanks to everyone that's worked with us today, because now we're with the curtains on today's episode of In the Papers, and we hope that we've been able